Welcome to a new fantasy adventure on Dreamscape. Join the daring young swordsman Rin on his secret mission to infiltrate an evil sorceress's fortress and free his captured friend from the sinister dungeons in this action-packed fantasy short story. The biggest gesture you can give me is a like. If you like my stories, feel free to leave a subscription and activate the bell so you don't miss any more stories. Well then, let's dive into the story. Rin's daring dungeon raid. The night lay heavier than ever before over the sinister land of Carnatia as Rin, the young daring swordsman of the Resistance, silently crept up to the moss-covered stone wall of the gloomy Dun Terra fortress. Somewhere inside those dank dungeons and cells, bathed in reddish torchlight, was his close friend and fellow fighter Tamin, who had been captured by the ruthless ruler of this realm, the wicked sorceress Arvida, and thrown into her dungeons many weeks ago. Rin was determined to free his friend from this mortal peril, even if it was to be the last thing he ever did in his young life. He could not and would not accept Tamin's fate and had sworn to get him out of there or die a heroic death together with him in the sinister dungeons of this place. Cautiously Rin peered up at the highest tower of the fortress, whose battlements stood out sharply against the starry night sky. Up there behind the small narrow windows, the private chambers of the dreaded ruler sorceress Arvida must surely lie. Rin could see faint golden light shimmering through them and fervently hoped that the witch had already retired for the night and he would remain undetected. If his informants from among the Carnation people had told the truth and not misled him, the secret entrance to the dungeons and cells deep below the fortress was located on the exact opposite side of the sprawling complex. He had to try to get there as quickly and silently as possible. Suddenly, a slender dark figure noiselessly slid along the stone wall right next to Rin and approached him. In a flash, the young swordsman had drawn his sharp dagger and immediately pressed it to the shrouded person's throat without further hesitation.
Not so hasty, my young friend, it's just me.
A strangely familiar female voice whispered to him from beneath the hood. Rin immediately recognized that the nocturnal figure was Orina, one of his closest allies among the Resistance fighters. Relieved, he put his dagger away again and nodded briefly and apologetically to her. Wordlessly, Orina led the young warrior to a narrow, well-hidden secret passageway in the thick stone wall, known only to members of the Resistance. Rin followed Orina in complete silence with drawn dagger deeper down into the darkness of the depths. The underground passages and dungeons beneath the ancient Dun Terra fortress were dank, icy cold, and filled with an impenetrable, horrifying blackness. Still completely soundless with bated breath, Rin continued following his cloaked companion with drawn dagger deeper down into the depths. Suddenly the two intruders heard menacing, raspy voices very nearby, and faint reddish firelight became visible ahead of them. They had finally reached the guards and overseers who kept watch day and night at the entrance to the dungeons and cells. In a flash, Rin now drew his longsword as well and attacked the two guards without hesitation as they were just playing cards. Caught completely by surprise by the sudden forceful onslaught from the shadows of the tunnels, the two sinister men were killed within seconds and without a murmur by Rin. Now it was easy for the swordsman to penetrate the dungeon and cell area and track down his friend. Crouching huddled on the damp stone floor in the furthest, smallest cell was the emaciated, pale shadow of a once stately man. It was Tamin.
By the beard of the king, I knew you would find me, old friend.
He whispered hoarsely with joy and relief as Rin hastily picked a heavy iron lock on the cell door. Supporting his weakened friend, he then helped him climb the narrow stairs back out of the dungeons to freedom. Outside the secret exit, Orina and two snorting horses were already waiting. The four escapees immediately jumped into the saddles and rode off under the glittering starry sky as fast as the animals could carry them. The daring Jailbreak had succeeded against all odds. Rin swore to himself that one day he would return with an entire army, dethrone the wicked ruler Arvida and free the people from her cruel tyranny. But for now, all that mattered was that Tamin was safe again by his side. Together they would continue fighting for justice.